In the quiet hours when the city finally sleeps, a fog rolls in, not outside the window, but inside the mind. Thoughts soften at the edges. Joy arrives like a rumor from another room. Pain feels theoretical, almost polite. People move through crowded days wearing the right smiles, while an inner volume knob has been turned almost to zero. This is not the heavy blanket of depression. This is quieter, cleaner, almost luxurious. A mind that once learned to protect itself by simply stopping the music. Yet beneath the stillness, something ancient waits. Uncried tears, unspent laughter, a heart wrapped in layers of cotton and placed gently on a shelf no one visits. This is the story of the numbed mind in silence, how it is built brick by brick, how it guards, and how one day it learns to let the air move again. Late Sunday light, thin and gold, slides across the living room wall. The apartment is quiet in that particular way. Only empty apartments know how to be quiet. Coffee has gone lukewarm and tastes like nothing in particular. The phone sits face down. Opening it feels like homework. You're not sad, not in the way people describe sadness. You're floating a few inches above your own life, watching it happen to someone who looks exactly like you. A text lights the screen, thinking of you, and the only reply that forms is a thumbs-up emoji. Inside the chest, nothing stirs. At the grocery store, strangers laugh at memes. You realize you haven't truly laughed, the kind that folds you in half and longer than memory serves. Driving home with the radio off because songs keep trying to pull something out of you that isn't ready. Lying in bed at 2 a.m., eyes open, feeling the silence settle like dust on every thought until even the worries go quiet. Most people don't notice it happening. They keep showing up to work, answering texts with the right emojis, making small talk that sounds normal enough. But inside there's a low, steady hum of detachment, like the world turned the color saturation down a few notches and forgot to tell you. Silence starts to feel safer than sound. Talking means risking someone seeing the blankness behind your eyes. Laughing too loud might crack something open that can't be closed again. So the mind does what it's always done. It protects you. It pulls the emergency brake on feeling, and because it happens so slowly, so gently, you don't realize you've stepped into the quiet until one day you look around and the room inside you is completely still. That's the first awakening, not loud. Just a soft, almost embarrassed realization that you've been living inside a silence you didn't choose. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It starts small. A 6-year-old runs in clutching a drawing. Bright suns, purple dogs, proud stick, figure family. They hold it up like it's made of gold. The grown-up, bone-tired, barely glances. That's nice, honey. They mutter, already scrolling. The child waits one more second, then folds the paper and slides it into a drawer. No tantrum, just a quiet click inside. Okay. Next time I won't bother. Years keep stacking bricks. The parent who never asked how the day really went. The teacher who praised the grades but never noticed the shrinking. The friend group that laughed when someone cried, so crying stopped being an option. The household where yelling was constant, so the only safe volume was 0. Or the opposite. The house so perfectly polite that any big feeling felt like a stain on the carpet. Kids learn fast. They learn some emotions make people uncomfortable. Anger gets you grounded. Sadness gets you cheer up. Excitement gets you calm down. So the sensitive ones watch faces like weather reports and start turning the dial down themselves. By middle school, they're experts. They can hear their name called for an award and feel almost nothing, just a polite nod. They can watch their parents fight through the crack in the door and register it like background noise. Teenage years cement it. First heartbreak, they go silent for 3 days. First real failure, they laugh it off, then stare at the ceiling until dawn. They start preferring headphones to conversations, night drives to parties, their own room to anywhere with people, not because they hate the world, because the world feels like it's speaking a language they quietly unlearned. Somewhere along the line, silence stops being a reaction and becomes the default setting. The mind builds whole rooms around it. Soft gray walls, no sharp edges, no sudden light, and the body keeps the score. Every push-down feeling leaves a note. This one's dangerous. Store it. The brain doesn't like being overwhelmed. When feelings were too big, too loud, or simply unwelcome for years, the nervous system looked for an off switch. It found one in emotional blunting and mild dissociation, checking out without ever leaving the room. Chronic stress kept cortisol high so long the amygdala got exhausted from ringing the alarm. So the brain dialed down sensitivity, like turning the volume knob on an overplayed song until you can barely hear it. The insula, which tracks how intense an emotion actually feels, went quiet. The anterior cingulate cortex, which helps you care, started phoning it in. Less blood flow, less effort. Alexithymia settled in. Emotions still arrive, but the bridge to naming them got quietly removed. They show up like unlabeled packages. Something's inside, but you can't tell if it's joy, grief, or hunger, so you set it aside. Neuroplasticity did the rest. Every time the young brain chose silence over expression, those pathways strengthened and they feel it out loud, routes gathered dust. By adulthood, the silent route is a 6-lane highway. Dopamine shifted to safer hits, endless scrolling, background Netflix, tiny reliable drips that never ask for vulnerability. The baseline for feels good got recalibrated lower and lower. Silence reinforces everything. Quiet rooms, quiet relationships, quiet days. No challenge, no recalibration. The brain isn't broken, it's efficient. It installed the quiet the only way it knew how when the world felt dangerous and nobody taught it a softer volume. Inside, two voices argue every single day, and both are tired. One is calm, reasonable, almost kind. Stay quiet. It's safer here. Remember what happened last time you let something out. The other is younger, smaller, hoarse from disuse. I'm still here. I miss color, I miss mattering. Walking down a busy street, a couple holds hands, really holds hands, and something inside flinches. Someone asks, "How are you really?" And the room tilts. The honest answer feels radioactive. Nights are the worst. Don't cry, don't open the boxes. There's no one here to hold you if you start and can't stop. They binge entire seasons to borrow someone else's feelings, stand under cold showers to cover the noise, ghost plans because canceling feels too honest and showing up feels impossible. Shame layers on like frost. Everyone else seems to feel without falling apart. Letting go of numbness feels like stepping off a cliff. All the buried grief, rage, wanting would rush in at once. So the war continues, quiet and endless, one side guarding the door, the other knocking softer and softer. It never arrives with trumpets. One ordinary Tuesday, a busker plays 3 notes of an old song and something inside leans forward. The wall thins for half a second. Glimmers start showing up uninvited. A stranger's full, body laugh on the subway, a dog pressing its whole weight against your leg, the smell of peaches that taste exactly like July when you were 9. Each time the chest remembers how to move. Memory, anger, joy, clean, sharp, then gone, but leaving a tiny crack. They begin small experiments. Play the college playlist and actually listen. Text "I miss you," without adding a joke. Cry in the theater and let the tears stay. Each time they brace for the old punishment, awkward silence, rejection, and it doesn't come or comes softer than memory promised. The question slowly shifts from "how do I stay safe?" to "what if I could stand a little more life?" No grand epiphany. Just a series of quiet, private moments where the numbness forgets to lock the door all the way, and warmth slips through. They leave it cracked, just enough for the air to move. It feels like remembering how to breathe after holding your breath for 20 years. One day the radio stays on while cooking, and they don't immediately turn it off. Another day they sit on the fire, escape with coffee, and watch the street wake up instead of opening 10 tabs. I've been tired, but today feels okay. Leaves the mouth naturally. Grief arrives as tears in the car with windows up. Anger as a calm that actually bothered me. Joy is the quietest. Sudden lightness in the produce aisle over perfect peaches. They learn the difference between opening the door and ripping it off the hinges. Some days they can only crack it. Some days the light hurts, so they step back and try again tomorrow. The old numbness still lounges in the corner like a tired cat, but now it shares the space. Shoulders drop a fraction. Jaw unclenches in sleep. Silence stops feeling like absence and starts feeling like room where a rusty heart slowly, bravely remembers rhythm. Years later, the apartment is still quiet, but the silence has texture. Birdsong drifting in, the low hum of the refrigerator, the soft, steady pulse of a heart that finally trusts it's allowed to beat. Numbness folded itself small, an old blanket kept at the foot of the bed for cold nights. They no longer fear the hush. They know its voice can hold everything without breaking. Healing was never about evicting the guardian. It was walking up to it, meeting its tired eyes and saying thank you. You can rest now. Some evenings they sit without music, without screens, and simply listen. In the stillness, they hear the echo of every small yes they ever gave to feeling again. The first real laugh, the first honest tear, the first time they said, "I'm not okay," and the world didn't end. When new storms come, and they always do, they walk into the quiet barefoot, carrying a lantern made of every tear and laugh they once thought lost forever. The greatest surprise, the silence was never empty. It was always full of them, waiting patiently for the day they grew large enough, gentle enough, brave enough to come home.